Welcome to Megabucks Radio. Conversations with successful entrepreneurs, sharing their tips and strategies for success. Real-world ideas that can put megabucks in your bank account. Here's your host, Nina Hershberger.
Well, hello there. This is Nina Hershberger. I want to welcome you to today's show. I have a very special guest. This is unusual because he's an international guest. I most of the time will be interviewing people here in the United States, but I'm very excited to introduce today Robert Rolih. Now, I would have tried to pronounce it a little different, and we'll get to that in just a minute, but he hails from a small village in Slovenia, still lives there, built his fortune as an entrepreneur only to lose it by trusting financial advisors. Now, I personally have just read his book. It's a fascinating story about the title of the book is The $1 Million Decision. So, Robert, welcome to today's show.
Hello. It's a great honor to be here.
Yeah, so let's go back in time. I always like to know the backstory. So you live in this little village. So how did you become an entrepreneur? What happened? How did you lose it? Tell us the backstory.
Yeah, I grew up in a backwater village in Slovenia. This is a tiny country just near Italy in the Central Europe. And when I was growing up, it was still a socialistic country, so it was a part of the communist bloc. And my parents were blue-collar workers. They worked in a nearby factory. We never had money at home, I can still remember my father, whenever I asked him for something, he was this tough guy with Jimi Hendrix hairstyle. The reply was always the same. Robert, we don't have any money. Money doesn't grow on trees, So when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, maybe that was the reason why I always wanted something more out of my life. I wanted maybe to become wealthy. Maybe I wanted to become someone. And when I was a student, the opportunity presented itself, and I started my own company from scratch in a student dorm. And my first business was a web design business. I learned how to code a bit. This was the early days of the web, of the internet. And I basically learned on my own how to create websites. And I started to offer this service to entrepreneurs. After 5 years of hard work, this company started to produce quite a lot of profits. And I was like in heaven, It was like, wow, amazing, all this money coming into my life. I couldn't believe it, And at that time, I knew that I should invest part of the money that I'm making, for my retirement, for my family. But I was totally financially illiterate, And because I didn't know how to invest, I trusted financial advisors and gurus and bankers, And then after years and years and years of giving them my business profits to invest, I had a conversation with my wife, Sarah, and she said, Robert, I know that you trust these guys, but maybe just, let's take a look at what is happening with all these investments. So I ordered all the account statements. And when the envelopes arrived and I opened them, it was like, what? Are there some zeros missing? Money that we worked hard to earn was mostly gone. And that was basically a huge shock for me. It was devastating. It was terrible, terrible at that time, yeah.
So what did you do? Did you have to start all over? What happened then?
Yeah, it was really painful at that time. I lost my motivation for work, but I was lucky that I was able to turn things around by realizing that I need to take control over my money and investing. And now I always say, the person who controls the money wins. So you need to control your own money. You should never give up control of your money or your own investments to someone else, especially not to advisors or money managers and so on, because in most cases, their interests are not aligned with ours, and they are more often focused on earning commission than growing your wealth. So, you need to learn to manage your money yourself. You need to learn how to invest it on your own, because no one will ever care about your money than you do, And this was the biggest lesson that I needed to learn in my life, And later, I realized that, I spent quite a lot of time learning about personal finance and investing. So when I decided to take control of this area, in my life, I spent years and years, approximately 7 years, learning how to invest, learning what is going on behind the scenes of the financial industry, talking with the financial industry insiders, reading books. I read more than 300 books, over that 7 years, about investing and personal finance. So later I realized, that most people have the same problems that I had in my career. They are trusting their financial advisors, bankers, investing gurus, and they are losing money, without even knowing it. So that is why I started, this career as an investing educator.
Yeah, so you call it an investing educator. I call it a financial educator. But is that what started, and that's the reason you wrote your book, The $1 Million Decision?
Yeah, that was the main reason, I said to myself, I need to get this word out, because all the people I was talking to, they basically didn't have a clue about these things, about the effect of small commissions and fees on your long-term returns and stuff like this. So the main message the core message of the book is very simple. Small fees you pay when investing can lead to big financial problems. And when I was when I trusted financial advisors and so on, I didn't realize that 1 or 2% management fee that they were charging can lead to big problems. And that is maybe the most important message of the book. In the book I show how even a regular investor, everyday person, someone investing maybe just $5,000 or maybe $10,000 per year, can easily lose over $1 million by the time they retire. And all that because of these hidden fees, commissions, and maybe also bad products that the financial industry keeps pushing, and selling, And these small commissions and fees, they don't look dangerous at the first glance, but over time they compound and they rob you of your financial freedom. So it's a very important book, and it already saved a lot of financial lives. If you want, I can share a real life story of my youngest son's teacher. Last year, my youngest child's teacher invited me to give a short presentation about the book and money and investing to his class. This was like a lively group of 10-year-olds, and I really needed to simplify things. But they listened, they were focused, it was amazing. And at the end of the session, I gave each student a copy of the book, and the teacher also took one. Now, the interesting thing happened a couple of months later. I got an email from the teacher, and he told me that after reading the book, he began questioning his investments. His financial advisor has been managing for him for years, So he did what most people never do. He looked at the actual numbers. And that's when the shock hit him, After years of investing, he realized that he was barely breaking even, And meanwhile, the stock market has gone up more than 40%. So if I simplify this, so let's say that he had $100,000 US dollars invested. Missing out on a 40% gain, this means he lost $40,000, and not because of the market crash. Not because he bought the wrong crypto meme coin or whatever, but mostly because of one thing, high fees. And he was not even aware of this, So instead of facing maybe financial hardship later in life, this teacher is now on track to retire with a very, very solid pension pot, all because he read, one book. And that's a story that really gives me a lot of energy and enthusiasm and so on, because I see that it really, the book really helps people.
Well, and I think when you released the book, didn't you have immediately lots of sales at that point?
Yeah, the book became the international bestseller. It was also translated into Chinese Mandarin, into Bulgarian language. It was also published in India as a special edition, Thailand, Taiwan, and several other countries. So yeah, it was really amazing to see, how many people read the book and all the feedback and so on. So yeah, it was really amazing.
Okay, so you wrote the book and released it in 2017. Fast forward now 8 years later, and you described yourself as an investment educator. Tell me then what's happened.
So after I wrote the book, I realized that people started to ask me, if I have any seminars or workshops or stuff like this, and I didn't have anything, at the time. So, but because of all these questions, I said to myself, okay, why don't I create an online course, maybe, about this topic. And this was the start, I started with the course. I started to educate people about this in an online form, and this really took off, And right now I have members from 73 countries. I have more than 7,000 members from 73 countries. So yeah, it's an amazing course.
So when you say members, so they can take your online course, and what I think I understand you saying is they decide and they do their own investing.
So I just teach them what are the best investments, how to allocate their assets, how much to put into low-cost index funds or ETFs. These are the big baskets of stocks where you invest for a very, very, very low fee. Then how much to invest in Bitcoin and other big cryptos, how much to put into bonds, depending on your age and risk appetite. Why invest in gold maybe a bit. We are investing in gold purely because of safety, not because we want gains. And then, so I teach them all about this, about all the mistakes that they can make and so on, how to avoid them. And then I also give them constant support. And I send them emails, what is happening in the markets, maybe from time to time when I see a good opportunity, I send them an email with a buy signal and so on. So yeah, it's a really good support, so that they never feel alone in this investing world, and they don't need financial advisors anymore, after they become members.
Okay, so you're living in Slovenia, and when you call it, you're talking investing. You're investing in the U.S. market, correct?
Yeah, correct. So most of our investments go into the U.S. stock market, because the U.S. stock market represents more than 65% of the global stock market. And also, the United States is the most entrepreneurial country. All the big tech giants are from the United States. So basically, it's a no-brainer. You need to be invested mostly in the United States.
Okay, I want to switch a little bit. Let's go into Bitcoin, because, there's a lot of, opinions on Bitcoin. So tell me what your opinion is on that.
Bitcoin, my take is that Bitcoin is a store of value for the digital age. So it doesn't compete with US dollar, but it competes with gold. Okay, so this means Bitcoin is not meant for buying burgers and groceries, but for long-term storage. Okay, so Bitcoin is not for transactions, but it's for long-term storage, just like gold. And Bitcoin is basically an improved gold. It's transparent, it's liquid 24/7. No central bank can print more of it. No miner can mine more of it. It has a fixed supply. And that is why sometimes I call gold, sometimes I call Bitcoin gold for the new generation, and because Bitcoin is a newer asset compared to gold, it's still tiny compared to gold. This means that approximately 10 times more money is invested in gold compared to Bitcoin. And this basically creates an opportunity for growth. So, Bitcoin should be a part of every portfolio, not as big as stocks, of course, but still significant part, And I'm investing in Bitcoin, and sometimes we are maybe also lucky that we know how to maybe buy Bitcoin when the price is low. So, for example, in 2022, this was my best signal, that I gave to my members, when Jim Cramer, this is a famous CNBC TV host, was yelling, because Bitcoin went from $66,000 US per Bitcoin to $16,000 per Bitcoin in 2022. And in November, Jim Cramer was yelling, get out of crypto, get out of Bitcoin, sell everything, because it will go to zero. This was on the CNBC. And at that time, I gave my big buy signal, for Bitcoin when it was 16,000. So, we are now sitting on huge gains. So, it's funny, how markets work, Sometimes you just need to do the opposite of what the crowd does.
So the point with Bitcoin is you're not going in and out of it. You're just holding it for that growth over time. Yeah,
and sometimes we are buying it when the price goes down a lot. And sometimes we also take profits, because, Bitcoin has, it's very volatile. Because right now, if you take a look at gold, it's like an, elderly man. It's moving very slowly. There is little volatility. It's more conservative and so on. But Bitcoin is like a teenager. Okay, Bitcoin is still young, and it's jumping up and down constantly. So sometimes, when it skyrockets, then it's okay to take some profits. we recently took some profits when it was like at 120,000 per Bitcoin.
So now Bitcoin is a type of crypto. So there's other crypto, but you're focused primarily on the Bitcoin, just like you are with index stocks?
We are also investing in some big, other big crypto projects. These are, I call them business crypto projects, like Ethereum, Solana, Sui, and so on. If you take a look at Bitcoin doesn't create anything. It's a store of value asset, just like gold. But these business crypto projects create value. That is why I call them technology stocks 2.0. For example, Ethereum, Solana, and so on. These are big platforms, and there are thousands and thousands of developers who are creating apps on top of these platforms. It's just like, a good comparison would be your computer. It runs on iOS, or if you have Apple, or it runs on Microsoft Windows. And Ethereum is just like Windows, because other developers are then creating different apps, financial apps, business apps, games, and so on, fitness apps, and so on top of this technology. And that is why we also invest in these big business crypto projects or infrastructure crypto projects because they are like some kind of platforms, for the future. and a lot of different applications run on them. And in the future, there will be much more, of course, of them, and the value of these networks or of these platforms will very likely go up,
So, Robert, this is so fascinating. So if I can summarize this whole thing, when you had the wake-up call that your financial advisor had been getting commissions, let me put it that way, which resulted in you really not making any profits. In fact, it was going down. You decided you were going to take the bull by the horn and you were going to do the learning. You were going to figure it out. Yeah. And you took 7 years to do that and just really delved into it. But you don't want to be a financial planner. You don't want to be a financial advisor. You don't want to be certified. You're in Slovenia anyway.
No. But I don't want to do that.
But you became an educator. And I think what when we talked before we started this show, I think what you said was, you're telling people what you do, but they have to make their own decision, and they make their own trades, and they do their own thing. You just tell them what, give them guidelines.
First I teach them what is good, what is bad, what are the key principles, what are the big mistakes that you can do, and so on, so that they understand what they are doing. So when it comes to investing, you need to understand the investments that you are making. If you don't, the biggest losses come from investments that you don't understand. Let me give you an example. Boris Becker. This was a very famous tennis star a couple of decades ago, in the 80s and 90s. He made a fortune, of course, because he was so good at tennis, but then he lost it all. And he needed to declare personal bankruptcy. Why? Because he invested in some strange opportunities, in Africa and so on. He didn't understand what was he investing into. Like one investment was an oil company in Nigeria that, later they found out that it was a scam. So basically, if you invest in something that you don't understand, then it's a huge risk. Okay, so you need to understand the investments that you are making. And that is why I try to educate my members, what is Bitcoin, what is Ethereum, what are ETFs, what are stock ETFs, how they work, and so on, because only after that you can be sure that this is a good investment,
And so once you do that education through your online masterclass or whatever, then when you call them members, then they can become a member of your ongoing education. I mean, I think you do a few live events, but you also primarily do it through email and stuff.
Yeah, so the support after they join my program, after that I have 2 times per year I have webinars for members, so member webinars every June and every December, and then I also have email updates and signals and so on. So they usually get from 6, 7, maybe to 15 emails per year from me because we are long-term investors. We don't want to trade in and out of the market every day or something, and most of my emails are not buy or sell signals, they are just updates, what is happening, where is maybe some opportunity, like in April when Trump went out with all these tariffs, and the markets went down 40%, we were buying heavily at that time, I wrote 2 emails and I also recorded a special video for my members because it was such a buying opportunity, such a huge buying opportunity. So, they get a lot of support from me.
Yeah. Wow. So if somebody wanted to, I'm looking at the clock, and so never my fan, but the last question, though, I want to ask is, with all of the thousands and thousands of financial advisors and investors and everybody out there, why you? Why should somebody listen to you versus anybody else?
Yeah, good question. Mostly because of the results, Mostly because of the results. We have been doing this since 2012, and the results are amazing. We are basically outperforming with our strategy like 99% of the best experts. And I have a ton of success stories, and all of my members, we are basically doing the same thing. So all my members, if they stay with me for a long period of time, they get the same results, and I can just tell you one example. I have one of my members is a lawyer, well-known lawyer, and he gave me an amazing testimonial. He shared it also on LinkedIn and Facebook and so on. And he said, that he attended my free masterclass, and then he joined my course. And his friend, was also with him, and they listened to the free masterclass together. And then he joined, so the lawyer joined, but his friend said, no, I will do it on my own. I have a couple of friends who are into investing, and I will follow them and so on. So after 3 years, then he said, after 3 years, we met again with this friend, and he was basically breaking even. Meanwhile, he, the lawyer, who joined my course, he tripled his investment. So it was like one of the best testimonials that I got.
Well, that is quite a testimonial. So I know.
I also show it in my masterclass, but I have a ton of them. I have hundreds and hundreds of testimonials and success stories. So yeah, it's amazing.
Well, so as I'm looking at the clock, so tell people. I know you've got a free masterclass. It's about an hour long. How can somebody get a hold of that?
Yeah, so I've just prepared, it's basically a 90-minute online masterclass where I share free keys to investing in the age of money printing and artificial intelligence. And I also share my number one strategy smart long-term investors use to double their returns. So it's free to attend. And they can register, anyone can register at robertrolih.com/masterclass, or you can just go to robertrolih.com. My surname is ROLIH. So Robert, ROLIH.com. And then you can go /masterclass, or also, the registration is on my main page.
Well, that's very generous of you. Thank you. As soon as we hang up, this masterclass is basically really, really amazing content, So it's not like selling. Yeah, of course, I present my course in the end, but it's like more than 1 hour of very, very good content, So even if you don't join, it will really be valuable, Oh, that's fantastic. Well, Robert, thank you for taking your time. I know when we started, it was about 9 p.m. your time there in Slovenia. Yeah. So I appreciate you taking the time and chatting. And I look forward to going through that masterclass myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people will as well.
Perfect. Thank you for inviting me. It was really a pleasure to share some guidelines about investing with fellow entrepreneurs.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next time, this is Nina Hershberger saying go out and make it a great day.
Thank you for listening to Megabucks Radio with Nina Hershberger. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or to listen to past episodes, visit megabucksradio.com.